Hello, Susanne.
Hello, Sonia.
Thank you so much for accepting this invitation. And I want to jump straight on. And because we were already sharing something before the recording started, and I think that this is really one of the questions that I have is that this fear of talking about the energetics. And can you share a little bit more about this? How is this for you?
So firstly, the energetic body, as we say, or our energetic body layer, or our energetic manifestation is something very common. Yeah, everybody has it. It's nothing like witchy with this, because if you see, energy is only the agency to do something. It's some physical thing, actually. It's nothing mysterious. And we all act with energy all the time, only it's unconscious. For most people, it's very unconscious. What is their inner drives and why are they doing things and how are they doing things? And so it was for me. So I was raised in a totally believing into science, believing into the materialistic world, into the laws of materia, into the laws of physics, and that's it. And all the spiritual world was given to the church. So it was a kind of a narrow world where everything was set in place. And the energetic body simply was not known.
Mm. And would you say that the energetic body as a connection to this spiritual part that you are talking about?
Yeah, as far as I have perceived, the energetic body is kind of layered. It has parts which are closer to our physical body, and there are parts which are far out. And to my understanding, there is the connection to the spiritual, as you would say, spiritual realm. But the spiritual is not separated from my physical self. It's not somewhere else.
When I hear you speaking, I'm thinking about this technology that we all have, and we are not aware of it. And it has been so mystified and vilified that somehow we lost touch with it. And how was this path for you of getting in touch with this technology that is your energetic body and the energetics?
So there were long years. So what I found out through processing and research is that in the beginning of my life, I made somehow a vow to the world of my father, to the world of where I was born into, to be a good daughter and to adapt to the world perfectly, and to deliver whatever needs to be delivered, and to shut down myself and my inner self, my being, and whatever I knew and whatever I knew from before, and also the reason why I came into this world, into this life, into this body. So I had this promise of total adaptation to the rational patriarchal system, and to totally shut down, totally forget whatever there else is. And somehow this doesn't work. Yeah, somehow this doesn't work. So I found for myself little sacred places where I could be totally with myself and in peace, in rest. And I even started meditating without knowing what this is. And I needed to have some places in nature. And then I started breathing and looking at the horizon and starting to see differently and so on. And I kept this very secret and very small and only to myself and didn't talk to anybody because it was so weird. And sometimes some things came up, but just very like drops, like little sparks. And I do remember them, but they were very seldom.
What kind of things? Can you give an example?
I remember a very specific one. I had been in a Catholic church class. Maybe I was in my first or second school year. And we had, no, it was, probably was the first, and we had to draw God. So we should draw God. And everybody was drawing God with a beard on a throne, like Catholic image, yeah? And I was drawing a yellow, I was painting the whole page yellow, yellow, and nothing else. And I got the worst mark. And everybody got a 1, and I got the worst one because, and then when I went home, I was totally sure I was right and they were wrong. So because I had an experience of God being light. So it was about 6 years old. And this is only one peak, which came out, and then everything was, I was a good student, a good child, a good, yeah, totally adapted. And it took lots of years where I tried to adapt the system. Lots, many. So
What was the turning point for you? What was that moment where you really, something opens up and suddenly you start to let it flow from you and nourish this connection with the energetic body?
So I don't think it was like one switch lane, like light on, light off. It was a gradual path because I had to deconstruct my belief and my whole upbringing and all my surroundings. I had to deconstruct them bit by bit. So my inner belief of what is right and what is real, what is reality. And let's say a marking point was when I was about 32 or something. I became so life became more and more senseless, and I realized for myself that getting another partner, pursuing career, having more money, and so on, the worldly things would not somehow fulfill it. It's only on the outer layer, and there I, through some really miraculous circumstances, I met my Buddhist teacher. I met my Buddhist teacher through some really things happening, and this made a shift. So he's a Vajrayana Buddhist teacher, and Vajrayana Buddhism has a lot of energetic, shamanistic practices, and the connection to the energetic is the most important. So it's in the center of the practice.
Can you say a bit about that? How, like, share one of the practice, for example?
So all the Vajrayana practices are about connecting body, speech, and mind. So, and I have to say something to the mind. It's not the thinking mind. It's a Western translation on what is not known to the Western world. So it's not brain. Mind is something like spirit, but it's not mystical. You could also say energy. So we say, when I say mind, I don't talk about the thinking. I talk about the perceiver, the one in you who is conscious and perceiving and processing whatever is perceived and feeding it back to consciousness. So, and the whole practice is, there's energy practice, lots of abundance, like mountains of energy practices, where you mostly you identified with an enlightened state of consciousness in a certain form, and the form is made out of light and information. And you identify with this form and meditate on this form, being that form. And with sounds, you use all the body, speech, and consciousness, let's say, mind. You use everything. And there's also the thing about energy practice when you come, for example, from a yogic background. So you practice yoga, so you know about the chakras, the inner channels, and so on. And this is all incorporated into the Buddhist Vajrayana practice.
And somehow, while I hear you, these are things and terms and the language that starts to be more accepted. And when I think about myself and my perceptions of the energetics that I'm now refining more and more and becoming aware, there are things that are not yet, no, for me, there are things that I'm still afraid of, like saying that I perceive things inside people's physical bodies, for example.
Yes.
And I'm seeing this with my energetical body. Where is this threshold for you? Where is this point where there's still this fear of opening the door to the outside of this technology? I really like to I'm going to call it technology because I think it's the best word for this.
Yeah, you're speaking about the fear, and there is a fear because it's the fear of the unknown, and it's also the fear of the power, of one's own power, of my own power, and it's the fear of what's behind this threshold. So, and there comes in what we were speaking before we started recording. There comes in all our especially as a woman, the memory, how it is. It's maybe a collective memory we tap into. It doesn't need be a personal memory. It can also be a collective memory we tap into of the witch hunts. So everyone who was standing out in a kind for, I think it was 400 years or something in Europe, everyone who was standing out because of her, especially women, about with their knowledge and abilities and their connection to the energetic field, they were hunted and killed and tortured, and everybody knows it. It's in the field, it's still in the field, the knowledge is in the field. And even if you have personally don't have an experience, it's you know how it feels when you watch this. And it's also in the films and everywhere in our culture. It is damn dangerous to be a woman and to be outstanding, different in any kind.
I feel this fear as you speak, and how even today I am not aware of witch hunts like before, and yet there are ways through which these witch hunts happen. For example, when a woman speaks up and says, I do this, this happens, there's a reaction. And in myself, this happens as this big fear of being seen as crazy or of being crazy. There's this big, like, what will happen if I open up, if I just say what I perceive?
Yes, and there will be the Inquisition, which is mostly male and which is driven by this rational science. Let's say the orange meme, if you come from the integral perspective, the orange meme. So, or let's say power plus science plus church formed plus male power church science formed an alliance which to keep up the power, for mostly to keep up their power. So, and this alliance is, at least in the field, is still alive as far as I perceive. It's becoming softer, and it doesn't have the grip as it has for 50 years ago or 100 years ago, but it's still there. So the fear is the fear to show up with things which are out of the modern culture power field. This is really dangerous, still dangerous, at least for your reputation.
Yes, can you open that a little bit more of how is this witch hunt happening through the reputation?
It's very easy. If you say you are a healer, in Germany, it's not allowed. It's not allowed to say that I am a healer and I am healing. Let's say I'm not healing. I am not healing, but it's forbidden to write it on your webpage, I am a healer. You can be, how is it, lawsuited? So there's the power again. There's the power again saying you are only allowed to heal when you've done the official training, which is supported from the government and supported by law. If you are a doctor, a studied doctor, and have all your exams, you are allowed to call yourself a healer. Mm. And I'm saying it nonetheless, I'm a healer. Okay, my voice breaks. I'm a healer. And it's not me that is healing. And I feel a lot of fear saying this in public. So the one who is healing is the client. The client is healing himself or herself. And that's the miracle. And that's the technology.
I've seen you, I've done processes with you, and I was there. I was inner navigating, and you were holding space. And this technology, this ability of opening up the doors for the person to go through, and it's the person's choice to go through the door or not.
Yes.
This is a very precious and unique ability. And I felt your fear while saying it out loud. And I feel sad. I feel sad because it's still happening in a way. And one of the purposes of these videos is to let other women know that it's okay and that there are other women doing this and going through this path, and that this is something really important for me. And can you say a little bit more about your work?
As you say, holding space is part of the technology, and it's the holding space. The words are only like an abbreviation of what we are doing, and you are doing it also, like right now, holding space for the things coming through which need to be said. So this holding space for me means that I've been there. I've been through all this. I've been there. I've been through all these processes myself and consciously. So I've thrown a lot of light into my underworld and into my past lives and into my motivations and into my emotional entanglement. So there's not anything which can shock me, because, or where I have fear and cannot go to, because I know about the depths and darkness of my own underworld. And I also know about the vastness and the light of my upper world. So that all comes into space holding, and space holding means I don't do anything with you. So I open up the space so you can connect to whatever is alive in you now and can come to the light. So in this space, all the pain can come to the light, and all the constructs you have in yourself, and all the shutdown, and as it's called trauma today, everything can come to the light, can be witnessed and felt through. And from a point of now, from a point of adultness in the now. And this opens the door to a new now, and a new next step, a new future, and a healing. And the technology is, as you said, that you are, as a client, you are inner navigating your feelings, your emotions, your physical states, and your energetic body. That means, where is your center? Are your physical centers, as you know them from the yoga teachings, the chakras, are they aligned? Is your central axis there? How's your space? Yeah, is it vast? Is it small? Are you having a contained space? Are you protecting your boundaries, or are you melting into the space? What's happening? All these things. So you get more consciousness and more possibilities in this space holding.
I feel a lot of joy. I'm reconnected to one of the processes that I went through with you. And there was this It's a very delicate, rich way of space holding. And it's really a gift that I deeply appreciate, because when there's someone that speaks a language that is as close to mine as possible, healing happens. It's this meeting point of the place where I am and this person, in this case yourself, being able to come meet me at this point and stay there with me. And in staying there with me, I am able to open up more space inside for the being to come through. And this is amazing. So, is there an experiment or something that you could share for the people that will see this video to try out?
Yes. It's about, where is your center going? It's a very small experiment. Now, in the moment you are watching the video, and you're watching the video with your eyes. And the question is, are your eyes reaching out and catching the video and bringing it back to you? Is your perception through the eyes and ears reaching out far, like into the screen? What do you perceive? And the invitation now is to take a breath and shift that, whatever you perceive, shift that into letting the light coming into your body, into your physical body through your eyes, letting the light and the impressions coming into your body, not grabbing with your eyes. And perceive what's changing in yourself when you do not go out and grab, but let the impressions come in. And you could also notice, perhaps you notice there's a little filter or a resistance of doing so, of letting in. And don't do anything with it, just notice. And if you can let it into your body, the impressions, you can also let them rise to this upper visual cortex, which is about here, the brain, and let the imprints rise to the brain, so the brain can process and filter. And does this work for you?
Yes. Yes, it's the distinction of going out and taking something. It happens, and it's totally different to sit and receive.
And you are not without protection. Yeah, so if you want to do the experiment, you can look at, are you doing this going out and grabbing for your protection? This might be. And then experiment, be really delicate, experiment with letting it in and what's happening. And if there is fear coming, let the fear also rise. Don't grab the fear, but let it rise. Or if it's anger is coming, let it rise. Not grab, let it rise. So This would be an energetic practice, which is not designed to work. It's designed to fail in the beginning. And it's a practice because you practice. You do it in very small amounts because it's really like going into your hardware.
Okay. Thank you so much, Susanne. I really like the sentence. This is not designed to work, it's designed to fail. I love it.
Yeah. So, what I want to bring out at this point is especially the idea of cultivation. As we all are grown up in a society which is mostly dedicated to the rational, to the mind, the thinking mind, so that we are kind of untrained in perception, so in our senses and in our emotional body and in the energetic body. So it's about training and cultivating the energetic body and bringing it forward so that the mystical thing can vanish. So so I can see something in people and I feel fear. This thing can vanish if you practice to see more, to let it in, let your perception in and also validate them.
It is about empowerment.
Yes.
And I'm discovering that one of the strategies that I have is to run away from perceiving things. It's blocking it with a fear. And so I step back. And when I started experimenting in going in and consciously taking the step to move forward and stepping on that place where I'm perceiving things, this sensitivity and this connection opens up more. And at the same time, the fear is different. It's the feeling of fear. It's not the emotion of fear. And there's an empowerment. It's and I want more. I want to go more and more into that.
Yes. So the experiment we were going in was showing the inner emotion of grasping. There's the other, which comes from a desire. And there's the other way you describe is the fear of being in contact. So it's a freezing and contracting. It's emotional reaction of freeze state. And when you go with your fear and move very slowly, so as you described in the process, you really move very delicately and don't push yourself, no big moves. And stay in contact. That means also rise your sadness a little bit so you can stay in contact. And then the magic happens.
I love these talks with you. They are so alchemical. There's something about there are ingredients, like you pick the fear and then you bring the sadness, and it's so natural. I deeply appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Thank you